dear friend. Energy is a concept that encompasses the entire existence from the vast universe to every tiny cell in the human body. Everything we see, touch, think, or feel are different forms of energy. In physics, energy is defined as the ability to do work. It cannot be created or destroyed, but can only be transformed from one form to another. In philosophy, energy is the movement of all things, the source of change and evolution. In spirituality, energy is not only the movement of matter, but also the vibration of consciousness that connects humans with the deeper layers of the universe. There are many different types of energy, but they all have one thing in common. They are always circulating. Imagine a river of water. Water never stops flowing. If it is blocked, it will form a swamp or evaporate, losing energy. Likewise, when it is blocked, it can become negative, causing fatigue, stress, or illness. But when it is properly circulated, it brings creative power and balance. Energy exists in many forms. Consciousness, physically, we have kinetic energy, heat energy, electricity, light energy. All these elements sustain life and operate the world on the biological level. Energy comes from food, air, sleep, helps the body maintain mental activity. Energy is the will, thinking, creativity. Emotion is also a form of energy. Anger can explode like fire, love can spread like light, fear can bind people in darkness. And on the spiritual level, energy is the vibration of the soul, is the invisible source of life. Many cultures call it by different names: prana in Hinduism, chi in Taoism, or kundalini, the potential energy in humans. But if energy is always circulating, why are there people full of vitality, creative intelligence, while others are always tired, bored, and stagnant? The answer lies in how we use and transform it. A powerful source of energy, but wasted or misused, can become a burden. On the contrary, a small source of energy, but exploited properly, can create great changes. That's why understanding the nature of energy is the first step to mastering your own life. No one can escape the law of energy transformation, but whoever knows how to use it can change their own destiny. If you feel exhausted, it could be because you are letting your energy leak without realizing it. If you feel stuck, it could be because your energy is blocked somewhere. And if you want to break through to a new level in life, you need to learn how to transform energy in the right direction. This is not a theory, but a natural law, a secret that has been held by masters from ancient times to the present day. Energy transformation is not just about controlling or redirecting the flow inside, but can also reach more sophisticated levels, where energy not only helps us maintain life, but also becomes a tool to expand awareness. Exploring new limits of intelligence and soul, these are the high levels of energy transformation, where a person does not only use energy for oneself, but can also affect the surrounding environment and the operation of the universe. The first level is the purification of energy from the gross to the subtle. Most people are only familiar with the gross forms of energy, such as the emotional force of desire. But few people notice that these forms of energy can be raised to more subtle levels. A person consumes food not only to sustain life, but also to nourish the mind. A person controls emotions not only to control behavior, but also to reach a state of clarity and balance. A person preserves sexual energy not to suppress it, but to transform it into the power of creativity and awakening. This is the purification that transforms energy from the gross form into a higher form that is stronger and more sustainable. The next level is the unification of energy, when all the energy sources within a person are directed towards a single goal. A person can have a lot of energy but disperse it into thousands of small things, leading to them feeling tired, even though they have not done anything significant. But when a person knows how to gather energy, they can create a huge power like a beam of light that can become a laser when properly focused. The geniuses, the masters, the people who achieved extraordinary things in history, all have this in common: they do not let their energy leak into meaningless things, but focus it entirely on the path they pursue. This is not just a discipline, but an art, a rare ability that very few people actually master. The highest level of energy transformation is harmony with the universe. When a person is no longer just in control of their own energy, but begins to realize the connection between their personal energy and the flow of the universe. This is the state that enlightened beings have reached, where they no longer need to exert effort to control things, because they themselves have become part of the natural workings. When a person reaches this level, they are no longer bound by the ordinary needs of humans, no longer governed by lower desires, but instead operate on intuition, insight, and an invisible source of power that seems to never run out. But how to reach these levels? There is no general formula, because everyone is a separate energy system, but the core principle is still the essence. Practice concentration, practice connection. A person starts by observing themselves, realize where energy is being wasted, habits that are weakening them, thoughts that are dragging them down. Then they learn to transform each part, from physical to mental, from emotional to spiritual. When this transformation reaches a deep enough level, it is no longer just a personal change, but begins to spread outwards, affecting those around, creating larger impacts on the world. And that is when people truly master their own energy, no longer being swept away by the chaotic flow of life, but becoming the controller of that flow, turning it into a tool to build, to create, to awaken. This is not something far away or only for saints, but a path that anyone can walk, go, if they really understand the power of energy transformation. In each person, energy exists in many different forms. There are forms that need to be preserved. There are forms that need to be transformed to create development. One of the most important skills of a human being is the ability to transform energy from simple activities to more meaningful things. From passive enjoyment to active creativity, from temporary pleasures to sustainable values. Have you ever felt that you have too much time to surf social networks, watch movies, or entertain, but cannot concentrate to complete an important job? Have you ever felt full of excitement about small things, but exhausted when faced with a larger goal? That is a sign of an energy imbalance. We often get caught up in energy-consuming activities that do not bring real value, while important things are ignored because they require more effort. Energy transformation in life is the process of redirecting this flow, turning wasted energy sources into motivation for development. One of the most important ways to transform energy is to take advantage of hobbies and relaxing moments to develop yourself. Think about the things you usually do in your free time. Maybe it is music, watching movies, reading books, playing sports, or simply enjoying a cup of coffee in the morning. These activities are not wrong, but if they only stop at passive enjoyment, energy will gradually be consumed without creating long-term value. Try to exploit them in a different way. A way that helps you enjoy while developing skills or expanding your thinking. If you like reading, try to write down good ideas, apply them to your life, or discuss with others to expand your perspective. If you like to travel, instead of just going to know, learn about the culture and history of the place. You are going to record memorable experiences or explore skills like photography, writing to keep the journey in your own way. If you like to relax, learn about meditation, how to optimize sleep, or practice habits to maintain stable energy. When you turn your hobby into an opportunity to learn and improve yourself, you will not only enjoy but also build long-term value, making life richer and more meaningful. Energy transformation also involves taking advantage of small moments in life. To serve larger goals, a person can spend hours scrolling on the phone without realizing that that time could be used to learn to improve your thinking, to practice a skill. Another person may feel tired and sluggish all day without knowing that the reason lies in not knowing how to regenerate energy. Not knowing how to use free time effectively. Transforming energy in life is not about giving up the things you like, but finding ways to use them in a more beneficial way. If you are passionate about something, make it a part of your personal development. If you feel like you are wasting too much time, ask yourself how to turn this time into something more meaningful. Once you start thinking this way, you will realize that everything in life can be transformed, from small joys to big challenges, from moments of entertainment to work that brings real value. Start by observing yourself. Find out where your energy is being wasted. Moments that can be better utilized. Challenge yourself a little bit every day. Instead of just enjoying, create. Instead of just consuming, contribute. Instead of letting energy go uselessly, turn it into a tool to build your life the way you want, because energy never goes away. It just changes form, and how you transform it will determine who you become in this life. After you know about how to transform the energy sources in life, now we will understand and practice transforming the most powerful energy source of human beings: sexual energy. This energy is not only associated with the reproductive instinct, but also affects mental health, emotional and spiritual intelligence development. In many ancient cultures, sexual energy is not just a biological desire, but also a subtle flow that can be harnessed, conserved, and transformed into higher forms of energy. If not understood and controlled, it can become an obsession, a leakage that drains the body and will. But if you know how to navigate, it can become a driving force for creativity, success, and enlightenment. Most people experience sexual energy according to the way the instinct feels, the desire to seek satisfaction, and then can feel empty or tired. This is no coincidence. When sexual energy is spent without being properly directed, it will cause the body to become unbalanced. It will decrease concentration. It will drain vitality. In ancient philosophical and spiritual systems, especially Tantra, Taoism, and yoga, sexual energy is not something to be released at will, but a resource that can be refined and enhanced. Knowing how to control it, people can turn this energy into power. Energy will gradually be consumed without creating long-term value. Try to exploit them in a different way, a way that helps you enjoy while developing skills or expanding your thinking. If you like reading, try to write down good ideas, apply them to your life, or discuss with others to expand your perspective. If you like to travel, instead of just going to learn about the culture and history of the place, you are going to record memorable experiences or explore skills like photography, writing to keep the journey in your own way. If you like to relax, learn about meditation, how to optimize sleep, or practice habits to maintain stable energy. When you turn your hobby into an opportunity to learn and improve yourself, you will not only enjoy but also build long-term value, making life richer and more meaningful. Energy transformation also involves taking advantage of small moments in life to serve larger goals. A person can spend hours scrolling on the phone without realizing that that time could be used to learn to improve your thinking. To practice a skill, another person may feel tired and sluggish all day without knowing that the reason lies in not knowing how to regenerate energy. Not knowing how to use free time effectively. Transforming energy in life is not about giving up the things you like, but finding ways to use them in a more beneficial way. If you are passionate about something, make it a part of your personal development. If you feel like you are wasting too much time, ask yourself how to turn this time into something more meaningful. Once you start thinking this way, you will realize that everything in life can be transformed from small joys to big challenges, from moments of entertainment to work that brings real value. Start by observing yourself. Find out where your energy is being wasted, moments that can be better utilized. Challenge yourself a little bit every day. Instead of just enjoying, create. Instead of just consuming, contribute. Instead of letting energy go uselessly, turn it into a tool to build your life the way you want, because energy never goes away. It just changes form, and how you transform it will determine who you become in this life. After you know about how to transform the energy sources in life, now we will understand and practice transforming the most powerful energy source of human beings. Sexual energy. This energy is not only associated with the reproductive instinct, but also affects mental health, emotional and spiritual intelligence development in many ancient cultures. Sexual energy is not just a biological desire, but also a subtle flow that can be harnessed, conserved and transformed into higher forms of energy. If not understood and controlled, it can become an obsession, a leakage that drains the body and will. But if you know how to navigate, it can become a driving force for creativity, success, and enlightenment. Most people experience sexual energy according to the way the instinct feels, the desire to seek satisfaction, and then can feel empty or tired. This is no coincidence. When sexual energy is spent without being properly directed, it will cause the body to become unbalanced. It will decrease concentration. It will drain vitality. In ancient philosophical and spiritual systems, especially Tantra, Taoism, and Yoga, sexual energy is not something to be released at will, but a resource that can be refined and enhanced. Knowing how to control it, people can turn this energy into power, create wisdom, and even spiritual awakening. But transforming sexual energy does not mean repression. Repression only leads to stress, inhibition, and psychological disorders. On the contrary, transformation is understanding its nature, directing it consciously, so that instead of being dominated by desire, we can use it as a powerful source of motivation. When a person does not consume sexual energy unconsciously, they will feel healthier body, clearer mind, higher concentration ability. Many geniuses in history, from scientists, artists, to spiritual masters, all understood and applied this principle. Nikola Tesla once said that he gave up physical desires to focus all his energy on scientific research, believing that control of desire helps the mind develop more strongly. Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton were also people with high control over their sexual energy. Put creativity and knowledge above instinctive desires. In many spiritual traditions, enlightened masters all emphasized that control and transformation of energy. Sexual energy not only helps people achieve enlightenment, but is also one of the keys to unlocking higher states of consciousness. One of the most important methods to transform sexual energy is through awareness and control of breathing. In ancient systems of practice, breathing is the bridge between body and spirit, is the means to enhance and transform energy. When a person learns to breathe correctly, they can retain and direct sexual energy instead of letting it go to waste. This not only helps maintain health, but also enhances creativity, concentration, and clarity of thought. Besides breath control, the transformation also lies in how people use sexual energy in relationships. A relationship based on pure lust is often fleeting and easily depleted, but when sexual energy is combined with emotional connection, understanding, and mutual appreciation, it becomes a nurturing force that helps both grow. In Taoism, this is called harmonizing yin and yang energies, a combination that is not only physically but also mentally and spiritually. Couples who understand how to properly exchange energy will not only maintain long-term attraction but also improve physical and mental health. Another important thing in transforming sexual energy is to avoid overuse and uncontrolled consumption for men. Loss of sexual energy often goes hand in hand with a decline in mental fitness. Lethargy, loss of motivation. Taoism calls this dispersing qi, which means letting the qi be consumed excessively, leading to imbalance. Many ancient practices advise men to know how to control the release of retained energy and transform it into spiritual power for women. Sexual energy is closely related to hormones and emotions. If not directed, it can become a source of anxiety and depression. But when properly harnessed, it helps the body become more youthful, more powerful. Internal strength. Sexual energy transformation is also related to its application in creativity. Many artists, scientists, athletes have used this energy to increase concentration, explosion of ideas, and improve work performance. A clear example is professional athletes. They often limit the consumption of sexual energy before important matches to maintain strength and alertness. This is not superstition, but a scientific principle. When sexual energy is not consumed, the body will retain more testosterone, increase strength, concentration, and fighting will. If a person lets sexual energy dominate unconsciously, they will be controlled by it and become a slave to desire. But if they learn to channel it, they can turn it into power to achieve greater things. Sexual energy is not something to be eliminated, nor something to be released unconsciously, but a powerful flow that can lead people to the pinnacle of creativity, spiritual enlightenment, and the power to master themselves. If the energy transformed in life helps you maintain balance and make the most of your resources every day, if sexual energy helps you activate your creative power and enhance your inner vitality, if intellectual energy helps you think sharply to explore knowledge and create new values, then spiritual energy is the highest level, is the core fire that determines your will, belief, and inner strength in the face of all challenges. This is the type of energy that makes extraordinary people those who do not succumb to adversity. Those who can stand up after hundreds of falls, but like all other forms of energy, if you do not know how to use and transform it, can be eroded, leading to disorientation and despair. Hope. There are people who are not physically strong, even though their circumstances are not favorable, but they still move forward and achieve unimaginable things. That is because they have a strong source of mental energy. On the contrary, there are also people who seem to have all the favorable conditions but still feel empty, still feel useless, and lose motivation to live. The difference lies in how they transform and nurture their mental energy. If a person only relies on temporary inspiration, only acts when motivated, then their mental energy is very fragile, easily collapses when facing difficulties. But if a person knows how to practice and accumulate then no matter how challenging life is, they can still be steadfast transforming. Mental energy is not from self-delusion. With empty words of encouragement, it is a real process that starts with understanding what is weakening you and what can strengthen your inner strength. One of the most important factors is discipline, the ability to do the necessary things even when you are not interested. Interest is an unstable form of energy. Determination can change with mood and circumstances, but discipline is a form of sustainable energy that helps people keep going even when everything seems to be against them. People with strong mental energy are not people who always feel motivated, but people who can take action even when they don't want to, because they know that mental energy does not come from fleeting emotions but from persistent practice. But discipline does not mean being rigid or imposing yourself into meaningless frameworks. A person with strong mental energy is not a machine, but a person who knows himself well, knows when to persevere and when to change direction. It is flexibility in thinking, the ability to adapt to circumstances without losing one's essence. When a person reaches this level, they are no longer dominated by negative emotions, no longer swayed by circumstances, but can use everything as part of the journey of development. Even failures become a source of energy for them to move forward. Even difficulties become lessons for them to grow up, to transform their mental energy, not only to become stronger, but also to reach a higher state of consciousness. When a person is no longer controlled by fear, no longer bound by small desires, they begin to see things more clearly. They no longer live just to survive, but live to truly understand, to truly feel, to truly create. That is, when their mental energy not only helps them stand firm in life, but also helps them reach beyond their own limits. This is the pinnacle of transformation, when a person is no longer just an individual governed by circumstances, but becomes a person who can shape his own destiny. Understanding about energy is one thing, but if not applied in practice, every knowledge will only stop at the theory of energy. Transformation is not an abstract concept, but a practical process that can be practiced every day. A person can read hundreds of books about energy and self-development, but if not practiced, they will still be caught up in the old cycles, tired and out of control. So how to actually apply energy transformation to life? The first step is to observe yourself, recognize the forms of energy that are dominating you every day. Ask yourself what you are spending energy on. Do you often feel exhausted without knowing the cause? Are you spending too much time on things that are not really important? Without observation, you will not be able to change. Take a little time during the day to listen to yourself, monitor your energy levels in the morning, noon, and evening. From there, identify the change. Simply use a scale of 1-10 to rate your physical, mental, and emotional energy level. If you notice your energy is constantly dropping without any apparent reason, you may be unconsciously letting it leak into things that are not worth it. The next step is to fine-tune your energy flow. Learn how to minimize leaks and increase positive energy sources. There are things that seem harmless but silently drain your energy every day, like negative conversations, meaningless content on social media, bad habits that do not bring value. For example, 10 minutes of mindless social media surfing can stretch into hours without you realizing. Procrastinating not only wastes your time but also causes creative energy to stagnate. Toxic relationships can drain your spirit without you realizing. Ask yourself, are these things really necessary? Can you replace them with something more useful? Sometimes just a small change like cutting down on time online, set up a no interference zone, or learn to say no to unnecessary things. You can save a lot of energy for more important things. An important method of transforming energy is breath control. Masters of Qigong yoga meditation all understand that the way a person breathes can directly affect their mental and physical state. When you are stressed, your breathing is often rapid, shallow, and intermittent, causing energy to be dispersed. But when you regulate your breathing slowly, deep, and controlled, you can retain and transform energy instead of letting it dissipate in vain. Practice a simple exercise. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds, then exhale slowly for 8 seconds. Repeat 5 to 10 times to feel the change. Another method is box breathing, where you inhale for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 4 seconds. These techniques not only help you maintain stable energy, but also increase concentration and control emotions. Besides, breathing meditation is also an effective method to purify and transform. Energy meditation is not just sitting still and closing your eyes, but a process that helps the mind become clear, helping you connect with deeper levels of awareness. When a person meditates properly, they are no longer caught up in chaotic thoughts, no longer dominated by negative energy, but can feel the stillness and inner strength. If you are just starting out, practice according to the path, 5 minutes a day. Just focus on breathing 10 minutes. Add in the visualization element. Imagine a flow of energy running through your body for 20 minutes or more. Focus on observing the energy, feel each form of energy working within you. It is not important how long you meditate, but whether you maintain consistency every day. In addition to internal methods, there are also ways to practice energy transformation. Through daily actions, a healthy meal can bring positive energy, while a poor diet can weaken you. Focus on energy-rich foods naturally, like green vegetables, clean protein grains, and stay away from processed foods high in refined sugar. A regular exercise routine can help you maintain strength, while laziness can reduce the quality of your internal energy. Even the way you communicate affects your energy. Positive conversations can energize, while negative words can slowly drain you. And finally, remember that energy transformation is a continuous journey. No one is perfect in controlling their energy all the time, but the important thing is that you are conscious of it. You know how to adjust when necessary, and you are constantly learning to improve this ability. A person who masters energy is not someone who is never affected, but someone who knows how to regenerate and use energy intelligently. If you persistently practice these things, Triatam commits that after just 1 week, you will notice a clear difference in your energy level. Energy transformation not only helps a person become healthier, creative, or control life better, but if it goes far enough, it can take people to a completely different realm where energy is no longer something that needs to be controlled, but becomes a natural part of their own operation. At the highest level of energy transformation, people not only master themselves, but can also impact the surrounding environment, even influence others just by their presence. The masters in history, from Taoist Zen masters to great scientists, all have one thing in common. They do not let their energy be distracted by small things, but focus completely on a single path. They do not let external circumstances disturb their mind, but use everything as part of their training. They not only master their thinking, emotions, desires, but can also transform the deepest sources of energy within, turning them into a driving force to break out of the usual limitations of Humans at this level, the transformation of energy is no longer just a conscious process, but becomes a natural state. A person no longer has to struggle to control desire because desire has been refined into a higher form. They no longer have to try to maintain discipline because discipline has become their nature. They are no longer bound by fear or insecurity because they have understood how energy works and have mastered it completely. This is the state that enlightened beings have reached, where they are no longer victims of energy but become its controllers. A person who wants to transform energy to the highest level cannot just stop at practicing a few external methods, but must really go deep inside in exploring the deepest levels of consciousness and being. They have to look straight at their weaknesses, confronting their fears, the limitations, the things they have always avoided. Only by daring to face them can they transform. Only by daring to let go of the old things can they enter a completely new state. And finally, at the highest level, a person no longer thinks only about themselves, but their energy becomes part of the flow of the universe. They are no longer bound by small goals, but each of their actions has a greater meaning. They no longer live just to achieve something, but live to be in harmony with the whole operation of nature. This is the destination that anyone can reach if they truly understand and practice the transformation of energy thoroughly. Because energy does not only maintain existence, but is the fire that guides people to overcome all limits. Only those who truly master it can escape the bondage of instinct, break out of the usual frameworks, and reach the state of absolute freedom where the mind, wisdom, and awareness merge into one. Thank you for accompanying Triet Tam on the journey of discovering and transforming energy. If you find this content useful, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share to spread the value to those around you. Triet Tam wishes you to always master your energy,